They tried to silence us again, but today, the truth rings louder than any whistle. Hansi Flick broke the silence and pointed directly to what many of us already felt deep down. Barcelona was the target of a rigged framework. What happened in the match against Inter Milan was not just a refereeing error, it was a direct attack on the club's dignity. And this is not a theory, it is an indignation based on facts. LAFA must be held accountable. The name Simon Marchin now carries a weight he can no longer ignore. And you, who are there, if you have also felt a revolt, stay until the end, because it doesn't stop there. Hansi Flick's explosive statements appeared like sparks in a powder keg. The former Real Madrid coach, in a surprising gesture, defended Barcelona with burning words. It was a shameful imbalance by the referee. It's no longer football, but a direct interference with the result. UEFA, under pressure, is trying to maintain silence, but fans around the world already see what has been done. And it was ugly, it was dirty. Barcelona was blinded and Francesco Erbai committed the penalty that everyone saw, except those who were supposed to judge. Right, I believe, if you want to see Barcelona stronger than ever. Infantino, president of FIFA, did not hide his disappointment. He called the refereeing an insult to sportsmanship and directly referred to the decisions that benefited the Italian team. All this in a match where Barcelona came back in the second half. Dani Olmo scored coldly, Eric Garcia with a burning soul, Rafinha almost became a hero, but they were stopped not by the opponent, but by a whistle, by a system that seems unable to bear seeing Barcelona return to the top. The atmosphere in the stands was incredulous. Fans of all ages, many with tears in their eyes, knew that something was wrong. Marciac's mistake was not just that of a referee, it was political. And the punishment may come now. FIFA has already taken the first step. The referee may be removed from the next Club World Cup. But is that enough? And who will give back to Barcelona what was taken from it? If you believe that Barcelona will overcome everything, Hansi Flick insisted again, it was not the lack of goals that took Barcelona out of the final. It was bad faith. A heavy, blunt, and courageous sentence. A criticism that disturbed many, but represents the feeling of millions. For when justice fails on the field, the cry of the fans becomes a complaint. Champions can no longer be a spectacle tarnished by convenience. UEFA needs cleaning, courage, and must listen to what the world is saying now. The FIFA Referees Committee, led by Pierluigi Collina, has been activated. The complaint is clear. There were technical failures, there was manipulation and connivance. Marciniak will be investigated, and not only him, the entire refereeing team is in the crosshairs. The video of this ignored penalty will be analyzed in the framework to be addressed. UEFA, cornered, can no longer pretend to know nothing. The pressure is global. Declare Barcelona force if you are ready to support the club unconditionally. Even with all these injustices, what was most marked was not the error, but the team's response. Barcelona under pressure showed its fiber. It showed that even against all odds, it will fight. And Hansi Flick, in an admiring tone, said, I saw in Barcelona the soul that many millionaire clubs in Europe lack. An unexpected compliment coming from a historic rival, but it carries the strength of those who see value beyond rivalry. Rafinha, after the final whistle, knelt in the center of the field, not from fatigue, but from frustration. He knew it. They knew it. The crowd knew it. The elimination was decided outside the four lines, and this feeling of helplessness is what fuels today's revolt of fans around the world. Barcelona did not fall, it was knocked down, and the world is watching. Right, Ivaby, if you have felt this emotion over the decades. Behind the scenes, Deco and Laporte are furious. It's not just a matter of honor, it's an institutional matter. The club has already formalized protests and demanded public explanations. UEFA's silence is an offense, the omission a scandal. And if this type of decision is not reviewed, European football is heading towards an ethical collapse. For when passion turns into injustice, the game is no longer a game. The new generation of Barcelona has also seen and felt it. The Yamal mine, with eyes full of tears, clearly said, let's not forget. This generation is being formed under pressure, but also under resistance. They are young people who understand that football must be more than a spectacle, it must be fair. And today, this youth is more committed than ever to raising the club's shield. Right, support, if you believe that we, the fans, are the true soul of Barcelona. Laporte, under internal pressure, is already articulating measures that go beyond the complaint: images, testimonies, and views. The goal is clear: to make history not only on the pitch but also in the courts. Barcelona wants the world to see that it will no longer accept being an easy target. And the fans play a key role in this, because when the voice of the portions joins that of the highest executive, the European press is divided. One part tries to minimize the events, but another part, brighter, already prints headlines like "Blind Justice Eliminates Barcelona" or "The Invisible Hand of UEFA." The noise is increasing, and it's not just noise, it's real pressure. It's the truth seeping into the cracks of a rotten system, and when that happens, there's no going back. The indignation has already turned into a movement. The backstage of UEFA is on fire. Sources close to the disciplinary committee reveal that there is an internal rift: leaders who demand absolute silence and others who already admit that the omission is unsustainable. The name Marciac circulates in meetings with a weight that few referees have carried. The possibility of an exemplary punishment is no longer ruled out, but for Barcelona, this does not erase the damage. The stain is made, and the people want more than apologies. They want real justice with an impact. Hansi Flick, even without direct ties to Barcelona, has shown a stance that has destabilized the system. Football is manipulated, and if we remain silent, we will be accomplices. The echo of this sentence has invaded the sports newspapers of France, Germany, and even Italy. There is an emerging wave of support, not only for Barcelona, but for the idea that football must be clean, transparent, and that power, when corrupted, must be confronted with courage and truth. Right, I believe, if you want to see Barcelona stronger than ever. The exclusion of the referee from the next Club World Cup may be just the beginning. The FIFA referees technical committee wants more. He wants to review all the decisions of the match, analyze Barcelona's internal communication, and understand if there was a hidden agenda. Yes, that's the level of seriousness. We're not talking about a simple mistake on the field, we're talking about deliberate interference. And this, if proven, could shake the credibility of UEFA for many years. The mobilization on social media is historic. Never before has there been such unity among Barcelona fans. People of all ages, from all over Spain and the world, are raising their voices. "LAFA, it was a robbery," has become a slogan, a flag. And UEFA is now facing not just a club, but a people who are not willing to accept silence for dishonor. The culture of silence has begun to crumble, and when that happens, something much bigger begins to be born. Right, Deja yo confia, if you believe that Barcelona will overcome everything. At the center of all this, what is most striking is realizing that Barcelona, even wounded, did not hide. On the contrary, it showed football, courage, and demonstrated that the fighting spirit that has consecrated this club has not been erased. This is what frightens those who try to overthrow Barcelona behind the scenes, because a team that plays magnificently and still resists injustice becomes dangerous for those who want absolute control of the game. Rafinha, Dani Olmo, Eric Garcia, all left the field with their heads held high, because they know they lost on the scoreboard, but won in character. And this type of victory does not appear in the newspapers the next day, but is recorded in the souls of the fans. This is what Hansi Flick recognized, what Infantino denounced, and what the world is gradually beginning to understand. What happened was not a stumble, it was a warning. A love stifled for years, but which has now escaped, and no one can silence it anymore. Declare, Barcelona force, if you are ready to support the club unconditionally. Hansi Flick also said, with a serious face, if this kind of thing continues, it will not only be Barcelona that falls, it will be the integrity of all European football. The statement was like a punch. The UEFA table knows it. It knows that public trust is plummeting, and it knows that the Marciniak scandal can become the trigger for a much bigger revolution than they thought. The question that remains is, will you pretend to know nothing, or will you face the truth? The Yamal mine, still a child, but a symbol of a new era, said in an interview, "We don't want favors, we want respect." A simple, powerful sentence that sums it all up. Barcelona is not asking for privileges, it is asking for fairness. And whoever denies it assumes that there is a team that is overthrown regardless of its performance. Football loses when justice is subjective, and today, the eyes of the world are watching those who should protect it. Right, why Vivi, if you have felt this emotion over the decades. For now, UEFA has not issued any official statement. The silence is deafening, but every hour without a response increases the wear and tear, and the crowd will not back down. Because now, it's not just about an unmarked penalty, it's about the respect that was taken, the truth that was stolen, the future of football that is at stake. And if there's one thing these fans have already shown, it's that when Barcelona is hurt, it comes back even stronger. Xavi Hernandez, on the bench, is already moving the pieces. He doesn't just want answers, he wants precedents. He wants the name of Barcelona to be synonymous with resistance, with fighting the system, with courage in the face of institutional cowardice. In the locker room, the speech was clear. This fall is not the end, it's the beginning of something bigger. It's not just about winning matches, it's time to defeat the dirty game off the field. And for that, the club needs the strength of every fan, not only in the stands, but in words, on social media, in the eyes. The veterans also spoke. Iniesta, with the sobriety that the world admires, wrote, "It's not just football when the essence of the game is attacked." And Puyol, always simple, went further, "Never steal from a team what it has earned with sweat." These idols who built the identity of Barcelona with blood and soul are now joining those who want to rebuild respect. It's not about the past, it's about the future and the justice that is already too late. Write support if you believe that we, the fans, are the true soul of Barcelona. Meanwhile, videos of the fans are going viral, showing the exact moment of the ignored penalty, the reaction in the stands, the cries of incredulity, the silence that invaded the stadium like an open wound, children crying, elders shaking their heads, young people in denial and anger. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a collective trauma, a moment that will be etched forever in the memory of the fans and which is now becoming the fuel for a historic mobilization. The complaint is not just coming from the club. Journalists, former referees, and even former players from other teams have started to speak out. Many are saying what was unthinkable. Barcelona was deliberately harmed, and this phrase, said openly, is already beginning to transform the narrative. The shame is changing sides, the pressure is increasing, and Lafa knows it. You can no longer control what has become a popular fury. Now, acknowledge it or fall with the lie you tried to maintain. Write, "I believe," if you want to see Barcelona stronger than ever, even outside the final. Barcelona has come out bigger, because greatness is not only measured in trophies, but in how a club responds to injustice. The reaction of the team, the fans, history shows that the Blaugrana shield is not for sale, neither to silence nor to corruption. That's why Hansi Flick, although a symbol of another European giant, saw in Barcelona something that transcends rivalries. He saw character, and that, in an increasingly cold world, is what frightens most those who live off manipulation. And now, what will happen? Laporta has already said that the club will not remain silent. Meetings with lawyers, contacts with international leaders, alliances with clubs that have also suffered at the hands of refereeing. The fight is no longer isolated. Barcelona has set a precedent. If you get justice now, all of European football will be forced to rethink its backstage. And if they can't, the cry will be even louder, and every fan will be a messenger of this truth. Write, "Deja yo confia," if you believe that Barcelona will overcome everything. The club's official networks are adopting a more incisive tone, without naming names, but with phrases that leave no doubt. Football must be decided on the field, not in the shadows. And the fans respond with thousands of comments, hashtags, videos, and protests. The indignation has become current. The pain has transformed into a voice, and the silence of the hoofa has turned into a prayer. For when a club becomes a symbol of resistance, no one can erase it. The injustice that hurt Barcelona did not end with the final whistle. It awakened a dormant force, a force that spans generations, a force that does not depend on titles to exist, but on memory, passion, identity. And now, this force is awake, it is aware, it is ready to make history not with trophies, but with dignity. For there are moments when the fight is worth more than the victory, and this sensation, this flame ignited by indignation, has already surpassed the walls of the camp. In several cities in Spain, fans are organizing to protest, not with violence, but with voices, banners, signs, with presence. They know they are facing something bigger than football. They are facing a clear attempt to silence a club that dared to react, that dared to grow again, that dared to challenge the system even after years of being expelled from the big stages. The players, even in public silence, show behind the scenes that this pain has turned into fuel. They train more intensely, talk to each other with more conviction, because when the field is taken by injustice, the soul becomes a trench. Rafinha, in a moment behind the scenes, would have said, "If they think they will overthrow us like this, it's because they have never understood what Barcelona is." And that sums it all up. What was born as a revolt has now become a mission. Declare Barcelona force if you are ready to support the club unconditionally. The board goes further. It even considers taking the case to the sports arbitration court. The claim is clear, the mistake was technical, but the effect was institutional. The club lost millions, prestige, and the opportunity to play a final due to a gross and possibly intentional decision. The idea is not just to punish the referee, but to set a precedent. Show that football needs greater justice than that practiced on the four lines. And this can change the course of history. The football world is watching, many still silent, some surprised, but gradually, the scandal is piercing the bubble. Fans of other clubs, international journalists, former leaders, all are beginning to see that the hole is deeper. And what is silent today, tomorrow, can be any other club torn from a semi-final with the same coldness. Fear turns into awareness, and awareness turns into collective strength, a strength that grows. Write IVB if you have felt this emotion over the decades. The images of the ignored penalty have already been seen by millions. Replayed in slow motion, analyzed by experts, commented on by former referees. There is no more doubt, the mistake happened, but the silence surrounding it is what is most frightening, because it is not about not having seen it, but about having decided to ignore it. This is what revolts, this is what hurts, this is what shows that the problem is bigger than the lack of competence, it is the presence of convenience. And against this, it is not enough to shout, you have to react. Barcelona reacts. The crowd reacts. And now, it remains to be seen who will join this cause, who will have the courage to set aside hypocrisy and say what needs to be said, because when a giant is hurt, it does not bleed in silence. It roars. And the roar of Barcelona crosses borders, it knocks on the door of those who have always sent football as a fiefdom. And this time, they may not be able to keep the door closed. Write support if you believe that we, the fans, are the true soul of Barcelona. Within the club, there is a feeling that combines revolt and pride in having fought, in having remedied on the field, in having faced so much on equal terms, and revolt at having been denied the opportunity to accomplish this feat. But this mix of emotions does not generate discouragement, it generates a flame, a commitment, a silent pact between the fans, the players, and the board. Barcelona will come back stronger, more united, and with a cause greater than trophies, a cause called truth. Hansi Flick ended his testimony with a phrase that will not be forgotten anytime soon: if football does not wake up now, it will be complicit in its own end. Harsh, direct, necessary. And when rivals recognize what has been done, it is because the truth can no longer be hidden. Barcelona was robbed, and the response will not only come from the authorities, it will come from the streets, the stadiums, the masses that do not forget. For when the heart of the fan bleeds, it does not heal, it screams, it demands.